Hi, I'm Lori Barnes, the astrologer who helps people find their true calling and take action towards manifesting it. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the new moon in Sagittarius. I want to start off by giving you the date and times of the new moon. So the new moon is coming up this Tuesday or Wednesday, December 12th or 13th, depending on where you live. If you're on the West Coast of the United States, it'll be at 3:32 p.m. on December the 12th. That's Tuesday. And if you're on the East Coast of the US, it'll be at 6:32 p.m. on Tuesday. And if you're in Italy, where I usually broadcast from, it'll be right after midnight at 12:32 a.m. on the 13th of December. And the degree of this new moon is 20 degrees Sagittarius. And I'm actually broadcasting out of Central Illinois right now as I'm home for the holidays. So if you don't have your natal chart placements memorized, it's best to have your chart in front of you while I talk about what's going on for the new moon. And that way you can see the different astrology houses and where the signs fall. You'll want to see what house is occupied by the signs I'm going to talk about today. And those signs are going to be Sagittarius, Pisces, and Capricorn. The themes and topics associated with those signs or those houses in your chart are going to give you more personal information about what parts of life are going to be most beneficial for you to focus on during the upcoming Sagittarius new moon and the Mercury retrograde, which is going to start in Capricorn and end in Sagittarius. Now, if you don't have a copy of your chart, you can get a free one online. There's lots of different places that do them. I recommend astro.com or astro-seek.com. Both will give you your chart for free. Okay, so the new moon in December happens right when Mercury goes retrograde. So you want to keep this in mind. They're very much connected. These two astrological events are going to go hand in hand. So though Mercury will start the retrograde in the sign of Capricorn, it's going to retrograde back to the sign of Sagittarius, which of course is the sign of our new moon. New moon symbology is about new beginnings, planting a metaphorical seed, growth, rebirth, taking action towards something new or a fresh path, a refocus, a new cycle, and it's about preparation. It's also a time where we may want more rest or kind of going into rest and coming out of rest at the new moon when it's dark in the sky, and it's a more quiet time because the new moon is born out of the end of the last moon cycle. Now we need to synthesize the retrograde, the Mercury retrograde, into this new moon energy. So rather than focusing on a new beginning at this particular new moon, it's a better time to review, refine, and realign the topics and themes associated with your Capricorn and Sagittarius houses and the things that you want to push forward after the new year. So what you do now under the new moon should help you get things in order so you can push yourself forward after the new year with the confidence and in a very prepared way. I really can't stress enough how important reflection and preparation are going to be under this new moon because of the corresponding Mercury retrograde that Mercury goes retrograde on the same day as the new moon. Now it's going to start the retrograde in Capricorn. Capricorn is a sign that's great for structure. It's all about structure, finding out where there may be some holes in the foundation of something. This is a really important thing to do. And then Mercury is going to retrograde into Sagittarius, the sign of the new moon. Sagittarius is a sign that's known for having vision and for diversification. So, kind of reflecting on where you've been, where you are now, where you want to go. This is an important thing to do. By the end of the year, you should be able to put together a visionary plan of 2024 that you can really push forward next year, and especially at the next new moon in January, which is going to be in the sign of Capricorn. And by then, Mercury will be direct. This new moon is in the sign of Sagittarius. A new moon always means that the sun and the moon are both in the same sign. So this means we have an abundance of Sagittarius energy during the beginning of this upcoming week when we move into the new moon phase. So starting on Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on where you live. Sagittarius is a fire sign. It's a mutable sign. It loves to do things for the experience of it. It's adaptable. Sagittarius holds the essence of the saying, one of my favorite sayings, that it's about the journey, not the destination. Sag is associated with seeking adventure, enthusiasm, philosophy, travel, taking on many things and going in many different directions. Sag has a voracious, huge appetite for learning lots of different things. On the shadow side, every sign has a shadow side. Sag can be tactless, brutally honest, preachy, pushy with their belief systems, and they can sometimes be really hard to pin down. This is a sign that's more likely to overdo things or overcommit to things. And this can work out well sometimes for Sag, but not so well when it comes to things where you don't want to overdo it, like substances, drinking too much or something like that, or overcommitting yourself. So do watch out for that under this new moon, especially with the Mercury retrograde. Sagittarius is one of the most adventurous signs, and people who have a lot of Sag in their chart need a great deal of independence, freedom, and they really don't like boredom. In fact, if a Sagittarius is bored, expect them to bolt. They're not going to stick around. There's probably some Sages out there going, "Nuh-uh, that's not me." I'm talking about pure Sagittarius energy. And of course, there's other things in your chart, but just getting a feel and understanding for Sagittarius energy. Now, all that being said, Sagittarius finds many, many, many things interesting, and they like to know about lots of different things, different people, different cultures, traditions. That means that Sagittarius interests are very wide and varied. Some of the archetypes associated with Sagittarius are the explorer, the philosopher, the adventurer, and the perpetual student. So that's about our Sagittarius new moon. There's a couple of things I want to mention that are happening at the time of the new moon. One of them is that the planet Mars continues to travel near the sun in the sign of Sagittarius and within range of a conjunction with the sun, also in Sagittarius. And this has been going on since late October, that the sun and Mars moving closely together. The conjunction of the two planets started in the sign of Scorpio, but now it's moved to the sign of Sagittarius. And actually that conjunction is in the past. They're moving away from each other as the sun moves ahead of Mars, but they're still within range of a conjunction. These houses in your chart are getting an energetic boost. With Mars in that house, you're definitely getting that boost, like maybe feeling like there's more physical energy or just energy in general about whatever's going on in that Mars house for you. So you want to see where Sagittarius is in your chart. But this is even more powerful when Mars is traveling in the same sign as the sun. In the sign of Sagittarius, with Mars and the sun there, looking at whatever topics are highlighted for you in your chart, you'll probably experience some desire for more freedom, more fun. Consult that blog that I have linked to below if you're not sure what house Sagittarius is in your chart, because that's going to give you more information as to where you're getting that boost. Maybe an increase in just like vitality and energy in that Sagittarius flavor. And that'll be in your Sagittarius part of your natal chart. And because Mercury is going to retrograde back to Sagittarius, this part of your chart is also an area for you to review, refine, and realign. And that's nice that you're going to have extra energy to tap into with the sun and Mars traveling through that part of your chart. Another important configuration to mention is that the sun and Neptune are moving towards a square with each other. Squares represent a tension, and this kind of tension helps kind of push you into action. And though initially, there may be something that happens, it's more annoying or like a thorn in your side, it pushes you into action, like taking needed action that maybe you wouldn't have taken if you didn't have that push. Putting together this upcoming Mercury retrograde and the sun square Neptune, it really highlights the possibility that not all things are clear at this time. And you really want to triple check your list and give yourself lots of extra space and time for any kind of snafus that come up. This new moon is a time where you're probably going to need more rest because of the Mercury retrograde, and also because things just might not go as planned, and things just might not be what you thought they were. And then if that is what you're experiencing, then that will probably mean that there's a higher level of stress, and then more rest is always going to be helpful. But on a positive note, all things creative and mystical are highlighted now. If you take the time to reflect back, you may find that some amazing and creative ideas start coming to you, but you really want to kind of put yourself into that place where you're open to hearing what's coming to you. These creative ideas are going to be really helpful for you as you refine under the Mercury retrograde. And this will help you update, realign important things, and you can get really good insight for, like visioning your future right now with this Sun Neptune thing and the Mercury retrograde. That can make it so you have to really like stop and kick back and then just kind of like let the messages come into you. This is a good time where you can envision 2024. Since it's the end of the year, this is a perfect time for that kind of work. I would say not just 2024, but the longer vision for the years ahead, because this Mercury retrograde is starting in Capricorn, which is a Saturn sign, and Saturn is about the long term. So just to kind of recap, this is a time best used by leaning into your instincts. Let rational thought go, because rational thought might lead you off track. Now, I know you'd probably like to get the Mercury retrograde dates on your calendar, so I'm going to give those to you right now. I'm going to give you the entire cycle. So starting with the pre-shadow phase, that happened on November 25th. So back on November 25th is when Mercury crossed over the degree that it's going to retrograde back to, and that's 22 degrees Sagittarius. Then it's going to go retrograde on December 13th, and that'll be at 8 degrees Capricorn. And then Mercury will go direct right at the new year, January the 1st, and that'll be at 22 degrees Sagittarius. And then it'll start moving forward again, and it will end its post retrograde shadow phase on January 20th, back at 8 degrees Capricorn. So on that day, January 20th, the entire Mercury retrograde cycle will have finished. Now is a great time for you to slow down and try to refocus from kicking off or launching any new things you have going on to reflecting and refining or realigning what you have started so far. The second half of December is going to be best used if you can focus on catching up on things or just kind of taking a break from things. And if you can't, try to go back and look at things that you've already started and resolve anything from the past. We know it's December. Many of you are celebrating the holidays. And since Mercury is going to be retrograde over the holidays, keep what I'm saying in mind, because it can be a good time for you to resolve any old family issues or relationship issues with people in your life. The houses in your personal natal chart, the houses with Capricorn and Sagittarius, are going to give you more information as to what topics or people are most likely to be activated. For example, if Sagittarius or Capricorn occupies your 7th house, then there could be some work, some realignment and reviewing with, or even a resolution that comes out of your committed relationships. Or if it's the 3rd house, it can be with like a sibling or a coworker. Or if it's the 4th house, with a parent. And if it's the 1st house, it's about you. So even, your relationship with yourself. If it's the 6th house, it can be your employees. If it's the 10th house, it can be with your boss. I hope you take the time to work with Mercury retrograde, because once you start getting in the habit of working with Mercury retrogrades, you'll find that you can do some really great work with it and not just be like, oh no, I don't want Mercury retrograde to come. Like, oh no, not again. That's kind of what inspired me to start working with the Mercury retrograde cycles to begin with. Like, I didn't want to just wish them away, even though you can't, they're coming whether you want them or not. But I wanted to find a more helpful way to work with them. And I have, now that I plan for working with them and I plan for reviewing all of my projects, all of my important projects, when Mercury goes retrograde, it's like I'm in a rhythm now where I push things forward in between cycles. And then when we get to a cycle, I stop the new stuff and I stop and I reflect and I see, what worked, what didn't work, Where are their holes? What wasn't addressed? What did I learn that now I can go back and apply to my projects to make them better? So when the cycle ends, I'm better prepared to move forward again. That's a great way for you to use Mercury retrogrades. Okay, let's move into some ideas for you to do at the new moon. If you do new moon rituals, you would want to bring fire into your ritual. Be careful because Mercury's retrograde, so definitely fire safety. But you could, light a candle, or if you live in a climate where you can have a bonfire outside, or if you have a fireplace, then I would do a new moon ritual that includes fire, because Sagittarius is a fire sign. And a really cool ritual to do at the new moon is to write things down that you want to push out of your life, and you can write it down and then throw it in the fire and let it burn away and purify as a symbolic kind of thing. I'll include a link below to my free new moon intention setting guide down in the description. Okay, we're at the end of the year. So during this Mercury retrograde, reflect back on 2023 and start writing your vision for 2024. I have a practice that I've been doing for almost 2 decades now, almost 20 years, and I love it. It works really well for me, so I'm going to share it with you. And if it works well for you too, then you keep on using it. So it's a combination of a journaling and vision board exercise. I write about a few different things. So I write a list of things that I'm grateful for from the previous year, from 2023. I write a list of things that I'm happy to leave behind in 2023, like done, over, glad to leave you there. I make a list of accomplishments. So what did you accomplish in 2023? What are you proud of? What did you get done? And then I review my goals, kind of like, what were my goals and how did I do? Then I write my major goals for 2024, and then I create a vision board for that. So that's what I do, and I wanted to share that with you. Now, another thing or idea for you to do with the new moon, and this is considering the Sun, Moon, Neptune square, or really the Sun Neptune square, because the moon's going to move along quickly, but the Sun and Neptune square is growing. It's not quite exact yet, so it's becoming stronger at the new moon, and remembering that some things may not be as they seem. So what I would recommend at this new moon, like next week, the week of the new moon, is that you really try to tap into your instincts, your gut, because it may be more reliable than what is presented because of not just the Mercury retrograde, but the Sun Neptune square. I would recommend that you get a copy of your chart if you don't already have it. Find those houses where there is Sagittarius and Capricorn and Pisces. I may not have mentioned this yet, but Neptune is in the sign of Pisces. So looking at the house of Pisces and the house of Sagittarius, that's what's going to give you more information on the Sun Neptune square. So the 3 signs again are Capricorn, Sagittarius, and Pisces. Those are the active houses at the new moon next week. So get your chart, look at those houses, look at what the topics and the themes and the people are that are represented by that house, and journal about that, and spend some time or meditate, take a walk, whatever it is, clear your mind and try to better understand what's activated and how you can strategically use that information to plan to move forward, especially at the new year as we move out of the Mercury retrograde. Remember that the Mercury retrograde is going to cross over the 2 signs. So you have Capricorn for a little while, and then you're going to have Sagittarius for a while. The best ways to use that energy is to reflect, refine, and realign. Another idea, Sagittarius is a dynamic and optimistic fire sign, and to best enjoy this energy, do things that bring you joy. Sag is all about having fun and the experience of things. If you celebrate the holidays, find some holiday spirit and enjoy time with your loved ones, the people you really love doing things with. Spend some time on your hobbies. Hopefully you'll have some time off where you can do things that you love to do. Spend time envisioning what you want to manifest in 2024, like I mentioned just before, that idea. You can even think beyond, with Capricorn, as the sign Mercury is going to retrograde through first. Whenever you're visioning, definitely think long term too. I want you to think about 2024. It's really important to think about what you want to manifest, because you'll be more likely to make that happen. But this is a time where you could also think longer down the road, maybe 3 to 5 years. And of course, let your mind wander with the Sun Neptune square and with the Mercury retrograde and things aren't so clear. It's like a time to really set aside what's logical, what you see in front of you, and tap into the more mystical, metaphysical parts of life, what, you know, the ethereal, what you can't see, and just see like what messages are coming to you. Are you seeing symbols everywhere? Are feathers kind of like showing up on your path? Are there any totem animals? Just kind of like be aware, like what messages from the universe might be showing up in your path. And then daydreaming, you know, like just kind of taking time to do nothing and see like what comes up for you. Where do your thoughts go? What's coming up for you? And ideas may just pop in. And so whenever you're doing that daydreaming, have a pen or pencil and paper near you, because you may get some really amazing ideas kind of dropping in and you want to capture them so you don't forget them. You know, Sagittarius really loves to play and learn. So these are good things to do next week under the new moon. Let yourself follow the threads of what really interests you. You know, just kind of go along with it. Do what you want to do, not the things you have to do or you need to do. Really listen to the words that are coming up for you. Like, what are you saying? Are you saying, I want to do that? Or are you saying, I have to do that? I need to do that. I should do that. That's going to clue you in on what you really want to do and what you feel like you have to do. And if it's that should, have to, need to, where's that coming from? Is that what somebody else thinks? You're trying to please somebody else? Who thinks that you need to, you have to, you should? Who's telling you that? Is that really coming from you, or is that coming from external messages? So that's something that you can work with under this new moon. Really watch those words. It's going to help guide your way to get the most out of the Mercury retrograde as well. I wrote a Sagittarius inspired quote for you with a little help from AI, and it goes like this: savor every moment, for each step is a brushstroke painting the masterpiece of your life. I really appreciate you watching this video. If you enjoyed what you watched today, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. I would greatly appreciate that as well. I also write a blog, so if you would prefer to get this type of information delivered to your inbox, I will include a link for you to subscribe below. And I'll also include a link where you can schedule a consultation with me if you want to go deeper into your astrology chart. My website is loribarnesastrology.com. And thank you for listening today. I'll see you in a couple of weeks with a full moon video that is going to be towards the end of December. Okay, thank you. Ciao.